Hey guys, welcome back. So guys, in this video we are going to learn PHP Ajax CRUD without page reload. Okay, so we'll be using jQuery with pop-up box like Bootstrap model. So guys, now let's get started. Yep. So just get an editor guys over here, and now here is my output. So let me create one student. So create a student.php file. Students, done. And now guys, let's go to getbootstrap.com here and go to docs and just move below and you'll find the starter template. So let's copy that, paste here, just remove the code which you don't need, and now let's see the output. Okay, so here we are, students.php. Perfect. So we got the output now, hello world. So now guys, let's begin with designing the form. So first step, begin with the container, row, column md12, where card header h4. Done guys. Get started with card body, all set. And in this h4 tag you're going to set a tag where you'll call your model. So get back, go to model, search for model here and move. So you get an example live demo. Perfect. So let's take this, let's copy this button guys first and paste at this inside the h4 tag. Now you have to add a class inside this float and make this to add student, all set, and change this target name. So instead of example model we'll tell student add model. And now guys, let's copy the model. So here is a model, copy and paste after the body. Okay, so it should be at the top. That's it. So now guys, you need to copy your id, target id, and paste here, all set. You can mention this student add or add student. Okay, and here your form comes. So before the form starts, let's check for the output guys first. Refresh. If you click on add student, perfect, you're getting the data. So now guys, let's add the form. So get back, here is my model body, and before that I'm going to start with form tag. All set. Let's cut this and paste after the model footer. Perfect guys. So now guys, let's add the inputs. Margin bottom 3, label, name, input dot form hyphen control, name is equal to name. Now let's copy this, paste 4 times, name, email, next one is phone, here you paste for phone, and then final course. Perfect. And make this button as submit, and just make this as save student. Done guys. And now here in the form tag you are going to give id, and id, this is save student. Okay, so now let's save, get back, refresh and check the data. Perfect. So now guys, let's create the table for this in our database. So guys, I have already created the students table with the field id, name, email, phone, course. Okay, let me show you the structure. Here you find all varchar data, and it is integer and auto increment. Okay, perfect. So now guys, let's get back and start with the inserting of data using jQuery Ajax. Yep guys, now you can go below at this bottom, you can start with the script. So guys, if you're going to use a jQuery, then you have to include your jQuery CDN link. So let's get back. jQuery CDN link. And here we move release jQuery, and let's take this minified itself. Copy this and paste that. Let's remove this, and we don't require all these things. You can just remove it out. That's it. Let me remove this Bootstrap bundle integrity code. All set. So now guys, you can begin with your code jQuery to save the data. So guys, first step, jq on. Here you are going to tell it's a document on event. So my event is submit, submit submit, on what it should submit, that is on the form submit. Okay, so let's get back, copy the id. So it's id guys, so you have to mention in hashtag. Let's give here. All done. So when you submit that form, you should prevent the data, prevent the page reload. So event dot prevent default function. And now guys, let's create a variable called form data is equal to new form data of what, this. So this means you are submitting the form. Okay, so all that form input you will get it. Okay, so now guys, let's write the Ajax code, jq Ajax. Here you set. So before writing the code, you need to add one more input called button. Okay, so right now you are sending only these inputs. So when you submit the code, it searches for the input, but what about the button value? So you don't get that. It's a submit, right? So you don't send that on the form. So you can just manually append it. Let me append that. Copy this form data dot append function, where we'll tell save student, and we'll make it just true. So we don't need any value in this. So now you can get all this variable form data and send in your data. Let's remove the data type we don't require. And when you are submitting this form data, you need to check the process and the content type. Okay, process data colon false, and content type colon false. Here you need to set the method as post and give the URL code.php. I will go. After executing the code, you're going to get the response. So what response you'll be sending, according to that, we'll be displaying it. Okay. So right now let's go to code.php and create a code.php file. Okay. Open PHP, close PHP, get the database connection, $con is equal to mysql underscore connect function, where localhost username is root, password is null, and my database name is blog. And begin with the if condition. If, let's check the button is set or not. So any value you are going to check. So we are checking with the post method. Done. And now let's go to your student.php file, and you find that we have appended save student code, right? So we'll check that. If it is true, then it comes in $name is equal to, we are going to protect the SQL injection, mysql real escape string, where database connection, and $underscore post method, where name. Okay, so let's copy and paste, change according to the requirement. So next was email, phone, and control D and say course. Perfect. So now all the input is clear. So guys, let's check whether input is required or not. Okay, if you enter empty input, So you can just check with the if else condition, if condition here, like $name is double equal to null. So same you're going to paste for all the remaining inputs. Done guys, and I have just added all the inputs here, and now you can give the result or response is equal to in array format, where we will be checking about the status. Status is 422, which means input errors. Okay, and after this we will show the message. What kind of message you are going to get is that, let's keep in single quotes, all fields are mandatory. Okay, and now you can send this in JSON encode, JSON encode function, where you will send the $res response. Perfect. And after this you can just return or just return false. Okay, whenever the input field is empty, it will send you this response. So when it's not empty, let's type the query over here to insert the record. Insert into table name, that is students, where columns and the value of inputs. So my column fields are like name, email, phone, and course. Copy and paste here. Done. And now let's give comma, separate them using comma, and now you can paste in single quotes $name, your variables here, whatever it is. So let me just add that. And now guys, let's execute this query. So query run with the help of mysql underscore query function, where database connection and $query. Done. And now guys, use the if else condition to check the output. In if condition, you are going to run this code, check this query whether it is true or false, it's executed or not, and get the response according to it. So what you have to do, you need to copy this code and paste again, and paste here again. So now let's change the status. If it is 200, true means 200. Here you can tell student created successfully. Student not created. Okay, and this will be a 500 internal error, code error. Perfect. So now guys, let's begin with the response. Let's get back here and go to the success part. So we have encoded it. Let's create a first variable, and this is our response, where jQuery dot parse JSON function, where you will get, you're passing your response, whatever data you send from here, right? So whatever you echo it, so that data only we are just getting it and parsing that. You can use jQuery or you can use dollar, it's not an issue. So whatever you are comfortable, you can use that. And now let's use a if condition, where response dot status, okay, is double equal to 422 input errors. So we are going to handle here input errors, and now you are going to show your error messages. So let's type error or error message dot text function and add the response dot message. So where this message is coming from your code. Here you set your message and status, right? So that both conditions I'm checking, one is status and one is message. Okay guys, so before this we are going to set this one more add or remove class. So here you are going to tell remove class function and d hyphen none. Why I'm removing this? Because we have to set that. Let's go at the form, at this model body, create a div area, div dot alert. Okay, alert warning, where display none, I am adding it. So in beginning it will just show nothing. So you can refresh, and here you see you don't get anything because of the d none. Let me remove this, and you see that a div tag is there, I mean alert is there, right? So when we show the error, okay. So now guys, coming to the else part, here you can, it is success, so either you can directly use or else you can use a if condition again over here. Response dot status is double equal to 200. So when you set the 200, you are going to close the model first. I mean, if you show all the errors, you can remove that errors first. So you just need to copy and paste here, and instead of remove class, make it to add class. Add class in that. And now guys, dollar dot model function, you are going to hide the model. Hide. So what is the ID of the model? Hash ID is, let me just copy that ID. This is our model ID. Copy the student model and paste it. And now guys, once we hide the model, we need to empty all these inputs. So you can just do a simple code over here. Let's dollar function where you are going to call your form ID. So form ID is nothing but save student. I mean this form ID. Copy the form ID, get back to jQuery and paste here. On that form ID of 0, you are going to reset all the data of your input. Reset function. I mean reset. Now let's save and let's test it. Refresh once. So our table is empty right now. Okay, let's add. So first with Prakash, email ved@gmail.com, some phone number, BCA, save student. Here you go. So let's check the data is added or not. Refresh. Here you see, perfect. So details are added guys, but we did not show the message. So guys, we'll be showing the message using alertify. So we'll do that in the end. Okay. So now guys, let's add one more record and see. Prakash n at gmail.com, some phone number, BCB, whatever codes, save, refresh. Cool. So data is inserted guys. If you face any kind of error, you just need to go to your console log. Okay. At the console log or go to your network. So here you will be getting all the error list. Whenever we save record, it shows what we are doing it. Let me just show you one more detail. Varun at gmail.com, some phone number, BCA, and save student. Here you see that it goes to code.php and return student created successfully. Status is 200. Perfect. So now guys, let's fetch these records what we have stored in database. Okay. Yep. Let's get back. So in this card body itself, we'll be getting the data. So guys, let's design the table over here. Table. Let's add table bordered. Let's add table head, table row, table heading, again ID, name, email, phone, and course, action button. Done. And you can add the table body. So here table row and table data. Okay. So before writing the code, check the output. Cool. So table is designed perfectly. Now guys, let's write the code over here. Yep. You can begin with PHP open, PHP close, dollar query is equal to where you are going to select star from the students table. Done. And now let's execute this query. Query run with the help of mysql query function. So first you are going to give the database connection and then your query. Okay, so we require a database connection. We have done the database connection, but in code.php we have given it, right? So what we can do is let's divide dbcon.php and just add this code in your dbcon.php file. while opening PHP and close PHP. Perfect. So guys, now let's require this in your code.php also. Require. Let's copy this and go to your student and just fetch that. So either you fetch it here itself or at the top of your page, not an issue. All set. So now guys, let's check with the if else condition whether the code has any data or not. With the help of mysql number of rows function, your executed query has any data which is greater than 0. If it is data is there, use a for each loop to loop the data. For each loop where $query run as $student details. So now guys, you can just echo that. Let me cut this and paste here. Divide the code. Use the HTML inside this code. And now open PHP, echo and close. Echo is equal to means echo. Okay, directly you can echo the data. Yep, student of your first is ID, name, email, phone, and finally course. Okay, and one more table data where you can set a edit or delete button. Edit. Let's add a class. Okay, button success. This will be the danger for delete and one for the view button. Okay, which is going to be info. Save. And now guys, let's check the output. Refresh. So you get the details. Perfect. So now guys, coming to again, if we add the data, so let me add some dummy data over here. Save student. See, data is saved. Okay, so ID number 4, you see that data is saved, but the table did not get refreshed. So without page reload, you have to refresh this table. Okay, so now guys, let us get back to the script. So after this success, I want to refresh the table. So first you have to add an ID inside your table. Let me just add a table ID over here. Let's make it as my table or my refresh table, any data. So my table is very comfortable over here. Let's copy that ID and just use that ID my table dot load function. So inside this load function, you are going to call the location dot href. Location dot href space plus space again, and just add double quotes inside this. Make sure you are giving a space after inside your double quotes and then calling your ID called my table. So whatever you have given there. Okay, make sure you are having a space. Please give a space. Mentioning it very properly. Give a space over here. So let's save. So now guys, let's get back and here you refresh. So let's add one more detail. Let me add HHH. So now let's save. Here you see page did not refresh, but table got refreshed. Perfect. So let me show you one more demo. Govind, number and course. Save. Here you see data has been viewed. Perfect. So guys, we have successfully done with adding and fetching the data without page reload. So now guys, let's begin with edit and view option. So yep, let's go with the edit part first. Let me make this view. Okay, so this is our edit button. So guys, instead of a tag, let's use a button over here, button, and make this type button and give a value, open and close, where you're going to just get the student ID. Okay, so let's take the student ID, paste here, and you got the student ID guys. And now let me zoom it. And now you need to give the class name edit student button, as simple. Let's copy this and so come below, add the script. Okay, let me just fold this code here jQuery on, and here you select with the document, and here you are going to check with the click option, and on what it should show, it is on class, so you need to use dot edit student edit button. Perfect. So now guys, let me just alert and show you the data. So when you click this edit student button, you get this value. So let's get that value, where student underscore id is equal to dollar this of val function. I mean, you need to type here this, and this is your student id. Let's copy and paste, save, and now refresh. So here you click on edit button, so you get id number 4. Let's click on 6, so it's 6 and 1 1. Perfect. So now guys, now let's get the data using this id. So guys, let's write the Ajax code, jq Ajax. Here we set, and method, we are going to use get method, and go to code.php file, and we don't require this data types, just remove that. And here inside this code.php, add a question mark and send the parameter as student underscore id is equal to, just give a space plus, and send this variable student id. That's it guys. So now let's copy the student id and go to code.php and write the code, okay, to get the data. So let's go to code.php. Let me fold this, we don't require. Now here we set if condition and check using is set function, and what data you're going to get using get method. So here we are going to check whether the student id is sent or not in that jQuery Ajax. So once you get that data, let's call that student underscore id is equal to, let's protect the data, mysql real escape string, SQL injection we are going to protect, call the connection, and then your dollar underscore get method, okay, where you'll get your student id. So now we have the student id. Let's write the query. So dollar query is equal to where select star from students table, give a where condition, id is equal to, inside single quotes you are going to send your dollar student id. Perfect. So once done, let's execute this query with the help of mysql query function. Send the database connection and then your query, above query. Done. And now guys, let's return this using if else condition. So we are going to check only one record first, okay? So you can use the mysql number of rows function, where dollar query is equal to 1. Only one record we are going to check, only one record it should return, or else you can add a limit also over here as 1. So if you require, you can add, or else just ignore that, because we are already checking here the condition itself. Else, and show the output. So guys, let me copy the code from below. So here you copy and paste here. So this is, once it is successful, you are getting the record, and it's not successful, you are showing that no id found, because we are select star from id. If id is not found, you are going to show 404 error, and you can tell student id not found. Done. And what in case if a record is found? So at that time you are going to get your data first. So let's create the variable called student. Student is equal to, with the help of mysql fetch array function, you are going to get the data. Let's copy the query run and get all the data. So you can just add a comma, create a data array here, and send that student details. Perfect. So you can send this 200 message status and If you require, you can show the message or else ignore student fetched successfully. You can add by ID, but we are not going to show this in the output, but you can keep for your reference. Yep guys, and now let's get back to students, and here in the response you get all the data. So as we have parsed the data, I mean encoded the JSON, we have to parse it. So response where jQuery dot parse JSON function, get your response and check with the if else condition. Let me copy from the above. Here you copy and paste. So now guys, you can just keep only a message over here because our global message we require it. So you can set over there, or else you can create in a alert also. So let's remove and just add a alert over here and get the response. So response dot message. Perfect. So we can get all the input. If it is not found, you will show the alert option. And if data is found, if it is success, you have fetched the data, you can show the model. So you can go to edit model, student, edit model, and just call show and fetch all the record in that input fields. So for that guys, we have to check with the response as we have sent in a variable called data. Okay, so you need to just send call that one by one. Okay, let's set here. Just imagine we have already set it with the ID like student underscore ID dot val function. Here you get response. I mean first response dot your data dot in that ID you will be getting it. Okay. Okay, so let's copy and paste, and here you set with name, email, phone, and course. So same option goes with name, email, phone, and course. Okay, so these are going to IDs. So and going to the student edit model. So guys, we need to move to that model. Let's go. Okay, this is for add student model, right? Let me add this, add student. Let's minimize this, copy the code once again and make as edit. So you can just make as edit student model, and here you have to copy that ID and paste it. So get to your jQuery code as student edit model, get back to your model, edit student model, and call the ID. Now change the model name edit and just add one input field, input, where you're going to tell name is equal to student underscore ID, ID is equal to student underscore ID. Okay, student underscore ID. Perfect. So how the data comes, it will manage to come, and we have to make this input as hidden, but for testing, let's check that. So guys, now you need to copy all this code, Control D, co copy and paste here, and change this to ID. Okay, so this ID will be done, and make this button as update and change the form ID. Instead of save student, let's make it to update student here. So now guys, these IDs are fetching from your jQuery. So we are sending all the data to that form on the student edit model. Let's save, and now guys, you can check the output. Refresh. So here we do with edit, and you see that ID number 3 with the all its detail. Let's close the model and let's check with the ID number 5. HH data. Perfect. So we get all this data. Cool. Let's make this input as hidden. Let's go to the input, I mean model of student ID, and make this hidden. So we are getting the data. And now guys, let's begin with updating this record. Okay, so let's move below. Let me close this table view. So here this is our save student code, and this is for the edit. Let me close the edit and now begin with the update part. So guys, to save time, let's copy the save code. Okay, so let's copy the save student. Here you paste again, and let's change the form ID first. So on submit of update student, make sure your ID is correct. Okay, so this is edit student model, and here you copy this ID and just add that update student on that submit. We are preventing it getting all the formed inputs, and we are creating one update student input field. Okay, and then we are sending to code.php, and once all the process is done, you are getting the response. So before this response, let me comment this, and now let's go to code.php and write the code for this update student. Let's go to code.php. So guys, let me minimize this. To save time, let's copy the save code itself. Total code, will copy it, Control C, and just go at the top, paste here. All set. Now you can change the button name. Here you appended the value update student. If it is true, you are getting all the form input fields using name attribute, okay, from the input, and checking all the input fields if it is mandatory. Okay, and now guys, let's update the code. So update the table student and set the columns. Okay, so column is equal to, inside single quotes you are going to give the column values. So let me control X and set here. So same way guys, you have to check for all. Let me remove this. Here you set and add the fields. $email, let me set it. And now add a where condition where ID is equal to, you are going to get the student $student underscore ID. Let me bring it down. Here you see $student ID, but we don't have this variable in the update code. Let's get that. Let's copy this and paste. And when you submit the update form, okay, update student, here you go to your form, edit, update student, and here use your student ID. Copy that input field name and send here. Done guys. So now we have the input field where we are checking to update the record, and once updated you are going to tell student updated successfully, else not create, not updated. Done. So now guys, let's get back to the jQuery code at the below, and you can uncomment this code. So here you will be checking the error message, and this is for update, right? So let's make it update error message update, and let's display this. Let's get back to the form. Here, whoops, we don't have that ID. Let's add it. I think we missed for the add also in add student. So first let's check with the update part. Let's save, refresh, and now I'm going to update this ID number 5, edit, and let's remove all the data. So now guys, I'm going to empty these two fields and just update that. Update, here you get all fields are mandatory. Okay, so we are getting this. And now if we update as KKK, let's copy and some phone number and course. Let's update record. Okay, so it's updated, as you can see in the behind background, it's updated, but model did not close on the update. So write the code to close the model. Let's get back here, and once it is 200 updated, what you are going to remove all the error list and close the model. So that is nothing but your student edit model. So we'll close that model, and what we have to do, reset all the input. Okay, so clear all the input fields. Update student is nothing but your ID, form ID. Let me just show you that. This is your form ID and this is the model ID. Okay, so don't be confused. Model ID and form ID. Perfect. And once it is done, you are going to reload the table, not the page. So now refresh and let's check with again. Let's update this record. Here I'm going to add Walid. Here Walid, add some number, BCA, update student. Here you see updated and the model is closed. So now perfect. You can just check. Done, guys. Let's make it this to become Om Prakash. Okay, Om Prakash value ID number 2 here in the background. Perfect. So you can see that. So guys, we have done with the edit and update option also without page reload. So now guys, for the add also, I mean, if you directly hit here, the error message should show all fields are mandatory. We didn't check for that save student. So let me add that ID. Let's copy this error message and just add that in your add model. Here, ID is equal to paste. Perfect. Now guys, let's get back, refresh, add, save. Here you see all fields are mandatory. Perfect. So now guys, let's begin with view option. So when you click on view, a model should pop up and all its data should display. Let's get back. So first step, let's go to our table. At this view button, let's copy this same code and remove this and make this option as view and make it to info design. And here you, instead of edit student button, make it to view student button. All set. Now guys, you are going to get below and copy the code of edit. Okay, so yes guys, let me comment this save, and this is was for update. Let's copy this edit button code and paste here. Let me align it. Perfect. So now guys, first step will be changing the button name. Let's copy the button name view student button and update that. So once you click on that, you get the student ID and go to the same code of this. From that data, you're going to get, we have already written this code, as you can see here, to get, let me show you. This is the code we have written for it. So same code we are going to fetch and just change the few data over here. So now we don't need the student ID. We are not going to edit or update anything. We just need to view that details. So let's add view name, view email, view phone, view course. Whatever data we get in that, we are going to set in new model. And this is student edit model, right? So let's make it to student view model. Okay. Yep. Let's go and create one model. Let's go top. Let me comment this add student, edit student model. Let's copy this and make for view student model. Here you make view student model. The model ID we have set student view model. Okay, let me just show you. So here we added, and now let's get back and change the view student. We don't need any form IDs. Let's remove that. Let's end this form. And if you require, you can show in this input itself, or else you can use a p tag. Let me just show you that. Use p tag, add a class if you require that input design itself. So I just add this form control and add a ID is equal to view underscore name. Okay, copy and paste here. This will be your email. Let's remove this, add to phone and course. Okay, course. Perfect. So now guys, we don't need this update button. Let's remove that and remove this error messages. If you require, you can keep this like ID not found if you want, or else just remove that. Okay, save. Yep, let's go below to the jQuery. Here you fetch the data and show that. Make sure this ID is matching with your input p tag. Save. Now let's refresh here. If you click on view button, here you see view student and there is no data. Why? Let us inspect and check. Console, view ID number 3, go to code.php. We are getting the data, but we are not able to place that. Okay, let's get back. It's a p tag, I think. So yes, we are using a p tag. So it's not an input. So what we have to do is that we should not use val. Val is for the inputs forms. Okay, so you have to use a text over here. Control D and just add that text. Now you can refresh and you can check the data. So yep, view. Here you see valid, everything comes. Perfect. Let me view the ID number 1. Here you get all the data. Cool guys. So this is how we view the details. And now guys, final part, which is about the delete. Okay, so now let's get started with that also. As simple, we are going to do a confirm and delete option. Let me for this query and go to the delete button. So guys, we will copy and paste the same code, copy and paste, remove this delete button and change this button name to delete and change the design danger, and you're going to update the class name with the delete student button. Perfect. So now guys, you're getting the ID with the on the student delete student button. Get back to the query and now write the code. Let's paste here. Let me copy from the above the first line and close this. And now you can change this button. Instead of ID, we are going to use the class. Okay, all set. And now we are using an event to prevent default. Let's e.prevent default function. And now guys, you can get the student ID. So before getting the student ID, we are checking the confirm option. So if open and close, use the confirm function. So this is provided by the jQuery or JavaScript. And now you can tell, are you sure you want to delete this data? Question mark. Okay. And let's check this first. Alert. I'm in. Okay. And now you can see that. Refresh. If you click delete, okay, it's not working. Why? Let's check once again. It's on submit. Okay, not submit. We are going to check with click. Okay, it's not a form, it's a click. Save, refresh once again. Now if you click here, you see, are you sure you want to delete this data? If I click okay, I'm in. If I cancel, it goes. Okay, and now again I click, and if I say okay, and here you see I'm in. Perfect. Now guys, you can write the code inside this. So first get your student ID from where? From your button click of that value. So $this, you get the value. And now guys, you can write the Ajax code. So JQ Ajax, here you set, use a post method to delete this record. Go to code.php. And now guys, inside this data, you are going to use different method to delete the record. So here you set your student delete, I mean delete student, where you are going to set it to true. And then add the student underscore ID, and then send your ID. Done, guys. So once it's done, you're going to get the response. So we have already written the response. You can copy from there. But let's go to the code.php and write this delete student code. Okay. Yep. Let's go to code.php and yep, guys. Let's go at the top of the page and write the code. Use if condition to check the use is set function to check whether it is set or not. And now, guys, create the student ID variable is equal to real escape string function, give the database connection and dollar underscore post method of your student ID. So what is the student ID? Copy that student ID and paste. Now write the query. So our query delete from students table where ID is equal to this. So this is nothing but dollar student ID. Dollar query run is equal to mysql query function dollar connection dollar query. Okay, and now we can check in if else condition. So let me copy from below itself. Let's copy the code and paste that. Done. And here you tell student deleted successfully and student not deleted. All set. So yep, save. And now, guys, you can get back and here you show the message. You can get that details, guys. Let me just copy that. Here you set this right. Let's take this and paste. Perfect. So and the if any error comes, you are going to show that what is the error we have set 500. Let's copy that 500 and paste here. The error will be alerted, and if it is no error, you are just going to show in the alert part. Okay, show alert response dot message. Perfect. So now once you delete the data, you have to refresh this table. Okay, type it dot load function where location dot href plus entire single quotes give a space dot my table. Okay, copy this and paste here inside single quotes, and this my table is referring to your table. Let's move at the top. Here is your table, guys. Okay, my table, that data I'm referring over here. Save. Done, guys. And now let's check the output. Yep, refresh. So now I'm going to delete the ID number 5, guys, over here. Yes. First I will cancel, so there is no difference. Now let's tell OK. Yes, are you sure? Yep, student deleted successfully. Give OK, and here your table refreshes and deletes the data. Perfect. So guys, we have completed with our PHP Ajax CRUD. So now if you want to show the message after adding like alertify thing, so let's add that also, guys. It's very simple. Just go to alertify.js. Okay, and here you set get started and get the CDN link. Let's copy the minimum. This is your JavaScript. Copy it and paste after your script and get the CSS. Copy the CSS and paste at your head tag. Done, guys. So now let's get back to the JavaScript part, jQuery part. Here you get, and now you can go to the component and notifier. Just move there. Here you see one run and you see that sample, right? So you can go to the position. Here you see something called success. Let's copy this code and you can add that in the save part. Let's go to that save option in the Ajax code. Here at the success, I want to show the message over here. Let's remove this, we don't require. Instead, we want the message, success message over here as response dot message. So whatever we are sending from there, save it. And now you can test add student. Let's add some random data, save, and here you see student created successfully. It's coming below. If you want to set at top, you can just add this at top, add this, save, refresh. Now let me add one more detail. So I'm going to add just dummy data, save. Okay, so it's setting below, right? Yep, let's get back to Relatify here. If we go to top right, okay, so at top right here, let's make this, copy this code, guys, top right, and paste that, top right, save. And now let's test once again, save. Oops, we did not refresh, save. Here you see, you get the data. So that message is coming from this left side, okay? So why? Because we have used the below code, okay? So you can just replace with this code. Let's copy this and just add that CSS link. Remove that old link and make that to different link. Refresh and you add it. So here we add, now save, you get this at the student created successfully. Perfect. So when you update, the data did not update, right? I mean, did not show the message. Let's come back to save, copy this and add it in your update part, Ajax. Here you can save the message. And now let's refresh, guys, once, and now let's update it. So here we save data, something, update. Here you see student updated successfully. Perfect. So same case with your delete part also. Let's copy this and you can just add that. So instead of alert, you can use this code. That's it. Refresh. Now delete. Okay. And here you see student deleted successfully. So guys, we have seen the complete tutorial for PHP Ajax CRUD without page reload using Bootstrap pop-up model. Okay. So guys, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, like and share.